Boss, welcome to the show. Manchester United, you guys are playing at midnight today, at midnight, or tomorrow, I could say tomorrow morning. You guys are hosting, I'm not saying hosting, I think you guys are still like in the US.
Yeah.
So it will be Manchester United playing against Everton. The previous friendlies you guys have had, there was a draw somewhere which gave some bit of shakes to Manchester United fans with this thing of now we are going back to the old as usual, like you talked about last time. Then you guys beat West Ham. You managed to beat West Ham 2-1. Then you thrashed, let me use that, thrashed Bournemouth 4-1 with an own goal even. Bournemouth didn't manage to score. The other one was an own goal.
That just goes to show they were fearing us. That's what it means. They were fearing us. I want to also highlight the fact that we haven't lost preseason. That's how we should have started.
But you see, Manchester United, whenever you guys are talking about, whenever you talk about preseason, you guys always come. I remember some years back, you even beat us 1-0 during preseason. And then the coach came with that aura. Was it Ten Hag? Came with that aura of, we don't play friendlies.
True.
Yeah. So I wanted to ask you, you guys are playing Everton tonight. It's night, of course. At midnight, you guys are going to be playing Everton. We've not seen your new signing. Buemo has not been there. Matthias Cunha played, I think, the West Ham game and did well, fairly well. He got a minor injury. I think that's why he has been missing. He missed the previous game. Do you really see some bit of progress basing on the fact that, of course, you guys have been playing, I could call them mid-table teams, West Ham, Bournemouth, Leeds. For Bournemouth's case, you guys have had a bad history with Bournemouth of recent, where they've been beating you home and away, and they had even taken away that Old Trafford aura of we have not lost here. We've not lost to Bournemouth here in very many years. So give me what you think of your new signings, the progress you guys have. Are you seeing any progress? Preseason games, you can win preseason games, but when it comes to the meat of the game itself.
Let me answer you.
Yeah.
Let me just say outright, we are title contenders. Let me start with that one.
Okay.
I just want to get it out of the way. We are title contenders.
Okay.
Officially, as usual. So now, when it comes to Everton, that's a sure loss for Everton. Let me not even waste. Those of you who kusiba kapapula, the muindi, just give Man U sure. Now, when it comes to seeing the light at the end of the tunnel in terms of judging, based on these previous results.
Basing on previous results, of
it's
course.
Okay. This preseason. So far, so good. Of course, you don't want to be so delusional. It is baby steps. Every transfer season, regardless of the team, you bring in, new players. They have to adapt to the team. The chemistry has to, be rebuilt all over again. So the future is looking bright. I mean, we have added Cunha and Buemo. We have added 2 diesel engines that run on fumes.
You forgot to say Premier League proven.
Exactly.
Of recent, you've been signing.
You're even building my argument. You're making it seem like I was underplaying Man U.
Okay.
But the point is this.
Yeah.
We saw from previous seasons, actually those 2 players have been a thorn in Man United's side.
Whenever you would play Wolves or Brentford.
Exactly. And then on top of that, when we bring it in the context of Man U, internally, when you remove Bruno, there's practically no creativity. Remove Bruno, you've done more than half the work in terms of stopping Man U.
Yeah.
Especially when it comes to the offensive side of things. Now, adding Cunha and Mbeumo, first of all, it's going to add threats. When it comes to Mbeumo, it's going to add threats. Not just because, of course, in Brentford, he had the free role, but he was more on the right wing. He could play on wings, basically. So we now have creativity on the wings, to punish defenders and opposing teams.
Yeah.
Then we remember Cunha, who is basically what I'm trying to say is that both of them are good ball carriers.
Okay.
And when it comes to also Cunha, I remember that one play when we were playing Wolves. I think we still won that game. But they terrorized us, and I remember that one play where he ran from his box
and drove the balls directly
straight in the heart of the pitch.
Yeah.
So he brings pace, power, and then to sum it all up, those 2 are going to reduce greatly the workload of Bruno Fernandes. So it's going to add creativity, reduce Fernandez's workload, and then, of course, build into what I started with earlier, title Contention. Guys.
All factors constant.
Uh-huh.
Why I'm saying all factors constant, we recently talked about the black hole in Man U. That is why I'm talking about all factors constant. Because it has happened before, multiple times.
First, for those who don't know the black hole, kindly, it is painful for a Man U fan to talk about it.
You should be the one to talk about it because you have done this again and again. My question is coming. You've done this again and again. Where you guys sign players, you sign good players. They've been good in the teams they've been in. Okay, there's that argument of maybe you guys have been signing players from other leagues, not Premier League proven, and they come and things don't work out.
Yeah.
You signed Alexis Sanchez. He was Premier League proven, and still things didn't go according to plan. Paul Pogba had been away from the Premier League for a long time, but I still feel like the black hole effect happened because this is someone who would go to play for France, and he does really well.
It's like he's possessed.
Exactly. And when he comes back, I think the only person I could remember in recent history that tried to live up to expectation was Ibrahimovic. And even Ronaldo.
Even
Cristiano Ronaldo.
Himself.
No, you see, Ronaldo, you don't talk about Ronaldo.
And that's what sets him apart from
Ronaldo now is just someone on his own planet.
The problem at Man U.
Exactly. So the black hole effect. This now drives my question. It could be like a 2-in-1 question. You guys have signed Cunha. You've talked about Cunha. You've talked about Mbeumo. You've addressed, as you were discussing, you addressed the part of you having to solve that issue of creativity and also bringing quality in numbers. Whereby if Bruno Fernandes is not there, as long as Cunha and Mbeumo are there, you guys are going to look very dangerous on the counter.
Exactly.
Because these players you've mentioned are good ball carriers.
Exactly.
In transition, going forward. Now, you still have a problem in midfield. You have offensive players. You've signed 2 offensive players that I don't expect to do defensive work. Okay, they could, basing on the system you're playing, but I don't expect them to be more of let's really help, because the defenders have to do their job also. And also that is why you guys are trying to use like 3 center backs, then add wing backs to make it look that when you guys are being attacked, you guys have 5 defenders behind, and then you have like 2 defensive midfielders. You still have an old Casemiro in the team. You still have Ugarte, I think, still has some bit of challenges because he's inconsistent. Sometimes he plays well, sometimes he looks lost. Christian Eriksen, I think, left, if I'm not mistaken. He must have left. So there's a hole, or there are players you would need more than one player in that system. I'm saying this as someone who doesn't support Man U but still see your weaknesses. In defense, you could say you have some young players. Maguire, you have some young players there. You have Lenny Yoro. You have this Aiden Heaven young man you got from Arsenal. You have Dogu. There is another left back you guys signed. And then you have the usual. Jota, Maguire, as you said. You have Matthias Derrick. I've just talked about an
Harry Maguire.
I've just talked about an own goal, and I was talking about him directly. Then you have the
Onana. Everything is okay. I know I've just considered everything is
fine.
Down.
It's fine. Okay. Now you have Onana in goal. Do you think, this is my question now, do you think you've done enough to be able to challenge? You said your title contenders. Do you think you've done enough in this transfer window to be able to say next season, even if, okay, fine, we don't win the title, we are able to compete with the likes of Liverpool? We know Liverpool has done a lot in the transfer. We know Arsenal has done a lot in the transfer. We know Chelsea has done a lot. They are from back-to-back trophies, tournaments. They've won. They have a trophy their side. They have a trophy here. So they look like they're getting back to their best. They have a young squad, and another is Man City, the juggernaut, Man City. So do you see yourselves? Do you think you've done enough to put yourselves in a situation whereby you can displace any of those 3 teams or 4 teams I've mentioned from that top 4, and you see yourselves up there?
I don't have water.
First drink water before yes. It's a very hard one.
The answer is yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Delusion set aside. Amorim put it best. Man United has to undergo a period of suffering.
What
that entails is that you may have to probably overhaul the system, make various changes. First of all, make people comfortable with what you want them to produce.
Okay.
Okay. He has a vision.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, you're trying, it's a trial and error period. Maybe even the players after some time, you've seen coaches come into a club, they are given the players, and then they realize that those players cannot implement the system. So what I'm trying to say is this: we need to be patient with Man United.
Okay.
We're not going to bring the Premier League in one season. As you can see, Arteta and the lengths he's having to go to just cut off just one more position from the table and win the trophy. On paper, it looks like he has done a lot, which he has, but you get the drift. And similarly, Man U fans, we just need to be patient with this guy. We need to be patient with the administration. He really has something in store for Man U, but he needs to be given the platform. He needs to be given the assurance that he will be given time to implement. Of course, he's on the clock. Anyone who has a job that has this kind of pressure, such as the Man United coaching job, there is pressure and there is a clock on it. However, don't create unrealistic expectations that he really has to, like, if it's either a Premier League title or nothing.
Like we are title contenders.
Exactly. We don't want to go back and forth. We don't want to go back and forth in this, valley and mountain ride of firing coaches left, right, and center.
Yeah.
We have seen clubs do that outside of Man U even. We have also seen ourselves do that. We have been doing it. And with the exception of, you can imagine even Ten Hag got us 2 titles is no longer with us. Okay? So what am I trying to say? Patience. Give the man time. We're just, like Jurgen Klopp was given at Liverpool, like Arteta is being given right now at Arsenal. Let's trust the process. Let us build the foundation. Let it be strong, okay? Let us not rush into things. And then slowly, we have started off well, getting 2 guys who are going to really bolster in front there. When it comes to the midfield situation, of course, we have that problem of the aging Casemiro, who I think is this kind of player, but he's this kind of player who can enter another club as long as he has someone who is youthful and agile, and depending on the system, of course, he can still thrive. Manu's problems, on the other hand, are just different. When you add in his age, a system that's just being implemented.
You need to fire the guy who gave him that contract because he's on a big salary, and I think that's why he's not on pressure to move.
Maybe there's that, but all in all, there's still, like you've said, there's still something to be added there. Probably even defense, and of course the most famous position, the goalkeeper.
The goalkeeper.
Okay. There's nothing to worry about.
Let's keep calm. Let's keep calm.
And the reason why I say that, you alluded to the black hole effect of Man U, where good players come with them from wherever they play.
This is something we've seen over time.
Yes. That it is proven.
Yeah.
It's a factual thing. Even me, I identified it myself like more than 5 years ago. But anyway, if we get everything ticking, if the system is in place and everything is good, never know even Onana can come back to form, because the difference between him in Inter Milan and Man U is like black and white.
A good defense.
He had a good defense, okay, and he himself, he wasn't a bad keeper. He was quite a short stopper here and there. And of course, everyone who gets Onana knows that he's good with his feet. So that's the kind of, and actually, if you see this system, most coaches, maybe they're implementing different versions here and there, tweaking them, but a ball-playing keeper is a must in today's, brand of football that is being adopted worldwide, starting from the back, basically. So that is it in a nutshell. Title contention and all. In summary, basically.
In summary, basically. Maybe something about your transfer news. Manchester United they are preparing an offer for Benjamin Sesko. They've been in talks probably this past week. I still don't understand what is wrong with the club. Is it the club or management or the player himself? They have not yet decided on which proposal they want to take. Arsenal jumped out of the deal. Of course, we knew that was Arteta's first priority when it comes to the striker options available. So they jumped out of the deal because these guys were presenting unrealistic demands. Now, 2 days ago, Newcastle tabled a bid of 75 million euros plus, I believe, some add-ons, which probably Leipzig was expecting, basing on, of course, different sources. Now, Leipzig comes up and rejects the offer, which is somehow, in my understanding, in the line of what they wanted. It seems to me like they're trying to create a bidding war between Manchester United because Manu was planning on presenting an offer. They haven't yet bidded. So these guys are probably expecting more money from Manu. You know, when Manu comes, these guys are going to be like, if they rejected 75, they are trying to pull something out of Manu and try to get more money because usually Manu has a tendency of overpaying for young players.
Yeah, definitely.
They've done that with Anthony. They've done that with Hoyland. They've done that with other players, Sancho and whoever. So we are expecting Manu to table a bid for Benjamin Sesko.
Okay.
Just briefly, I don't know if you've watched Sesko that much.
I have.
He's a young player. He's, I can't say proven. He hasn't scored like more than 16, 17 goals in one season in the league. So do you really think Manu is not falling into another trap, another Hoyland kind of trap of we are getting someone who seems to be, he has a high ceiling, but high ceiling is not based on what you see, in my opinion.
Yeah.
The high ceiling is based on what people expect. Very many players, João Felix, these are guys who had high ceilings, even won the Golden Boy. They are young players we know, many of them who have that. He has a high ceiling. Renato Sanchez, he has a high ceiling, basing on how he's been playing, and then he gets a big transfer. I gave Renato Sanchez as an example because according to those around him, he moved from Benfica to Bayern too early. He moved too early. They didn't give him a chance to probably first develop,
Okay.
which Benjamin Sesko got a chance to do the other season because Arsenal planned on buying him the previous summer.
Yeah.
And they brought up that thing of he's still trying to develop. Maybe let them give him one more season to play in Europe, to help Leipzig qualify for Europe. And things went downhill. They didn't qualify for Europe. He didn't score as really many goals as people probably expected. If he had been like 18, 19, 20 goals, someone would look at him and say, maybe he has a high ceiling. But briefly, don't you think Manchester United would be making another Hoyland kind of mistake?
I don't think so. And of course, we all have the right to remain hopeful, to be hopeful. Okay. This is my take on the direction Manu is taking, regardless of whichever player is brought into the club, and in regards to addressing issues. So, for instance, we are trying to address the striker problem.
Yeah.
Okay. And along the way, we shall have other problems to address, like the midfield and the defense. With Sesko, he falls in line with what Amorim is trying to do. He's trying to create a strong foundation. Basically, we are building from the ground up. Okay? Similar like what I alluded to earlier. Similar to what Klopp came and did for Liverpool. It is similar to what Amorim is doing right now. He's building from the ground up, and one of the things that he needs is a young player. Okay? So right now we need, first of all, in line with what he's trying to achieve, one of the things is reducing the average age of the squad. Okay? So that will play into everything that he wants to bring to the club. If he says we all have to defend as a team, definitely we have to. You need young lungs, basically.
Yeah.
And attacking everyone is basically he just wants youth, wants agility, speed, all implemented in his whole system. Regarding the Hoyland effect and the black hole effect of Manu, what I can say is this. It's all dependent on how Amorim is going to set up the team. What we need to really point out is the creativity situation has to be solidly solved in a solid manner.
Yeah.
So when you put someone as tall and quite lethal, basing of course on last season, what we can see, if you give such a player enough supply, one way or the other is bound to deliver.
Yes.
And I would like to think that if Hoyland can just have one, like a good run of games without injuries, and then, of course, we have now brought in more creative players, okay? I would like to think that because much as he hasn't delivered to people's expectations, one of the qualities that he brought, which Manu forwards didn't have in recent times, is the ability to hold the ball and look for someone, at least outmuscle the defender who is looking at the ball and try to hold up the ball and maybe link up with the pass after controlling the ball.
But you realize what you're talking about is probably, you see, Hoyland, you've talked about the chances, giving him the chances. Unless maybe you're talking about the Sesko being put in that scenario, because we've watched Hoyland receive chances whereby he can, like you've said, outmuscle defenders and try to pass the ball. In most cases, okay, sometimes it's not even necessary for you to try and now hustle a defender, of which sometimes even goes there and loses such battles in aerial duels, on ground duels. He's always losing. You give him a ball where you think he could make a simple pass and maybe create a goal scoring situation, because as a number 9, you don't, it is not only your responsibility to score, but also to create chances for those who are in better positions to score and better angles to score. But he has not been doing any of those things. It's been on rare occasions that he would probably score like a header, and of which Manu is probably already winning the game like 3-0 or 3-1 or 4-1, something like that. So I understand what you're saying. If he's better, my worry is that the Leipzig hierarchy and his agency and what seem to be overpricing a player that is going to, I can't say end up in Hoyland's situation, but I feel like if he ended up in that situation, you would have a double problem on your hands. Because now look at Hoyland. Hoyland doesn't want to leave. His agency was I heard the rumor that it was not, they're not even planning on discussing a transfer with another team. And I think many of you Manu fans have heard that. Now you have players who don't want to leave. Sancho has, not Sancho, Garnacho.
Okay.
Garnacho has given a condition for him. He only wants Chelsea. Meaning, even if a team like AC Milan, Inter Milan came and were like wanted to take him and they're willing to pay the money, he has already put you guys in a fix whereby for him he's only willing to negotiate with. There are bigger problems that cause players to behave like that, and we won't go so much into that. Let's probably now switch to Arsenal.
Before we say, I just want to end by saying, with the Sesko, by one of the other things that Amorim desperately needs on his way to revitalizing the Man United skeleton that we have here before us is depth, team depth. I don't think, to my knowledge, I don't think Hoyland was really feeling threatened about his position.
When they signed Zax,
leave alone that, remember, the team has bigger problems, okay? As a striker, he knows that supply wasn't really very regular, okay? Leave alone the fact that we have Bruno, the likes of Bruno, and of course, let's also not forget the fact that even the chances maybe he was getting wasn't converting. But when you're a striker in Man United, okay, you can feel that, okay, you're not playing the soccer, okay, that is delivering a lot of chances, of which you're expecting the striker to convert all of them, okay? So he didn't have that pressure. Like, of course, there's that pressure being in Man U, but he did kind of feel like his neck was on the line. Now we are bringing a striker who is from performing very well for his previous club. And we're bringing a striker with this aura of he's coming probably to be the starting striker.
Of course.
So what am I trying to
saying for that amount of money to sit on the bench.
So the point I'm trying to build is this. Every player has their own ambitions. It may seem like he's laid back and all, but when they bring proper competition, and he feels like his career is actually being derailed by the fact that he may not even have playing time anymore. Now that's where it will kick in the motivation to perform. Now, all of that still will depend on the system that we implement. You're not going to leave the guy on an island, okay? Right now, I believe we're in a kind of situation where it has to be the numbers game will have to play here in terms of what kind of system we play. Okay, if you leave someone on an island and they don't perform, then you will point out the price tag that he was brought for, and then you will have that double that Hoyland situation that we're talking
And still,
about.
it will also be hard for you to get rid of them because
Exactly.
now,
So
if you look at the players that are on market from your side, most of them are being sold for even less than the value of the
exactly.
money they were
So
bought.
all in all, it's just going to begin from there. What kind of system are the players going to be using, and does it benefit? When you have a good system, when you also have depth, okay, depth brings about so many advantages. Players are not overloaded. Number two, there's competition healthy competition within the club. So that's where my mind is at. I would like to hope that Sesko is he's a very tall player. Okay, so he brings in
6'5", I
exactly.
believe.
So he brings in not only the finishing aspect when it comes to shooting and whatnot, but he also brings aerial, similar to what Haaland brings for Man City.
We are discussing this under the condition that you guys actually bid for the guy and get the player, because Newcastle is also there trying to create friction, and they're willing to pay. They're willing to pay money for him, of course, in hope that they may end up losing Isak. But even if they are to keep him, remember they lost. Is it Wilson?
Yeah.
The one of their strikers.
Okay.
He's a free agent, so they need someone to play alongside Isak, either alongside Isak or to play. Isak also has some fitness issues.
Yes.
So he's not that player who you can trust week in, week out. Some games he's available, other games, especially important games, he's usually unavailable.
Yeah.
So, or sometimes he's available in those games they deem important, and when it comes to where you need to cross the line, he's unavailable. So, in my understanding, they would be signing. Newcastle would be wanting to sign him for him to play along. That's why they wanted Ekitike before he went to Liverpool, regardless of them having to keep Isak, because they rejected Liverpool's proposal.
Yeah.
Is it 120 million pounds?
They wanted
to take
150.
Isak. So maybe, it could be they wanted 150, but also they also want to have someone to play alongside Isak, or to play. Like I've said, Isak is not a reliable person you can rely on week in, week out. We know about his injury record, so you need someone to be there so that you don't have to start playing midfielders and makeshift players on the front line. They've just signed Elanga, and they wanted Mbuemo. They failed to sign Mbuemo. They wanted Cunha. They failed to sign Cunha. They wanted this guy went to Chelsea, João Pedro. They wanted João Pedro. They failed to get João Pedro. So looks like most of their first choice targets ended up in other teams.
Yeah.
And they haven't done any business.
One team,
exactly. They haven't done any business apart from maybe Elanga, who they signed on a permanent deal, and then they brought in Ramsdale, who has relegated 4 teams. And now he's back in the Premier League, smiling at the guys he left. Smiling at the guys he left behind. Minus Bournemouth, of course, who managed to go and come back. So anyway, I expect. For
me, this is where my head is at. When you're Sesko, when you're a player, first of all, your career comes first before the club. It may be something selfish. That sounds selfish, but that's the truth. That's the harsh reality. He's going to look out for himself first. One of the key factors that he's going to ask himself is, where am I sure to play when everything is said and done?
Yeah.
If it so happens to be Man U, then Man U stands a better chance, regardless of what problems are waiting for him.
You talked about that factor, and I also thought about the factor of Champions League football.
And there's also that.
You see, because now even in Leipzig, where he was supposed to supposedly have helped them to qualify for Champions League, which didn't happen. One of the key reasons he's leaving is to probably elevate to a bigger team. Of course, Manchester United is the bigger team here, and Newcastle has European football. If you guys are like in the Europa, maybe it would be like, at least I'll be playing Europe. But now you guys only have domestic cups to play for, so Newcastle could also present that. In bonuses, you have these things of every European stage we go to, and then bonuses, every goal you score, let's say in the champion, whatever. All those things, all those factors keep coming in. So it's an uphill battle for you guys. I expect. I don't know what is going to happen. I can't see in the future, but I hope you guys patch up those. Like I told you, you have issues both in the midfield and defense, and even the goalkeeper himself. We saw how Donnarumma, not single-handedly, but was one of the key factors that managed to help PSG get to the final of the Champions League, where they thrashed Inter Milan 5-0. Some of the saves he was making against Liverpool, against Aston Villa, against the Arsenal, the semi-final games, both games, managed to keep those guys in the tie.
Yeah.
So you could talk about a good defense. If your goalkeeper is still a bit shaky, things won't. Basically, you have a lot to talk about. You have a lot to address. But like I said, you've given us what you expect and how you expect your season to go and how you expect the team to be to perform, basically, depending on how you will have organized yourself. I have a belief before the season begins, we shall make our predictions in a few days' time. But I have a belief that whenever a season starts, because someone would ask you, who do you think will win the title? Oh, give me your top 4 or something like that. I usually have, why I'm talking about the organization part of organizing your defense, bringing in some pivotal players. You could have addressed up front, but the midfield and behind and the goalkeeper. Not the team that organizes itself in the best possible way. You could make signings now, and probably next season, after this coming season, the next summer you probably just need to buy like one good goalkeeper and maybe one good versatile centre back and one good defensive midfielder. Those are 3 players that can easily change. We saw the season where you guys lost the title to Man City. When Ferguson realized he had the top scorer in his team, but he didn't win the title, he went all in to get Van Persie, and that one player single-handedly changed your fortunes, and you won the title next season. So why I'm telling you that is, I feel like you can buy all the players you want, Man City, Chelsea, you can buy all the players you want, but if you do not organize your team very well to fit in with what the coach wants, and you also need some bit of luck.
Yeah.
With the refs, with VAR, we know how that damages people's weekends. With VAR, with injuries, you saw what happened to Arsenal last and Real Madrid. They had very many injuries to pivotal players in the midfield and in the defense.
Yeah.
So they managed to suffer. Real Madrid came empty-handed. The whole season they had no trophy. They reached some finals, but especially domestically, and they didn't make it anywhere far. Same applies to Arsenal. Injuries. Fine, they may have had some tweaks, but mostly I saw injuries affected them. Of course, the VAR issue comes in and a lot of unfairness, but these are things you look at and you enter a season with. You're organized, and with all the luck you can get, you will be able to prosper or break into the top 4, like I told you. Because right now, I don't think Amorim's primary objective is to win the Premier League. Like you've said, you're still building. So right now, if you ended up like from 15, was it 15?
Yeah.
To a Europa League position, you would feel some progress. If the next season maybe you manage to win the Europa, but still qualify for the Champions League, that's when you now start seeing that progress you've been talking about, of how Klopp came and found the team not performing. They played the Europa final, they lost. They played the Champions League final, they lost. They managed to win the Champions League, then win the Premier League. Then now, some of the players that are even there now that have won them the league previously.
Yeah.
Most of them were Klopp's players.
Yeah.
Ancelotti has just added in, I think, Chiesa. Yeah. And he's using what Mourinho called it football heritage, investments from the past to come and help you right now. So you invest in those forward players, then with time, as time goes on. That is what I think. Also, like I said, you need luck. VAR, you know, that thing.
And then also, this minor thing of Newcastle and United fighting for Sesko. You've brought up another brilliant point that Newcastle will table European football, Champions League football, let's call it. It all depends on also the personal ambitions of this striker. He's a young player, okay? There's already enough pressure going to either club, okay? Man United, for all we know about Man United, their history and whatnot, as a big club. And then there's also Newcastle, which has now emerged and now is entering Europe, left, right, and center, Champions League, basically. So his own personal ambitions are also a factor, because coming to Man U, he knows he has no pressure. With that, the pressure that I'm talking about is, ordinarily they want him to perform now. But of course, he knows Man U is coming off the back of a terrible season. So you get why I'm saying the pressure isn't as much as, let's say, if Man U had finished in Champions League, okay, and now we are saying, okay, now we have gotten you, we want a Premier League title. With Newcastle, he's going to a team which is in a better state right now, okay? They have added European football, and they have had I think they have performed well this couple of seasons, ending higher and higher. And now, if you add him alongside Isak, the expectations are going to be very high. I'm not saying that he's not capable enough of handling that pressure and welcoming it even. I'm just saying that Man also has this thing of, yeah, we would ordinarily want you to perform now, okay, because of the money that we would have paid if eventually we get him, okay, yeah. But they won't break his neck, okay. It would take something like not scoring a goal that season, or maybe scoring under 5, to really raise the question marks that you were talking about, okay.
Yeah.
But other than that, coming to Man U it's more of a softer land. I don't want to say softer landing, but you get my point in terms of, number one, he knows he will be starting. Is the better option, is the best option amongst all the players that are there. Yeah. In other words, we'll be granting him the service that he needs with the additions of Cunha and Mbeumo. That's how it looks on paper. So that's the other point I just wanted to add. That is it.
Okay. Yeah. Fair enough. On to the next one.